Black chef ruins the manager's dinner. Everyone thinks he's crazy until he reveals the shocking truth. The dining hall froze in chaos. Someone screamed. A waiter dropped a tray. Guests stood up from their tables. What the hell is going on? He's attacking my husband. Somebody stop him. Before Harry could explain, security guards charged in. Wait, don't, he will die. Harry's hands moved with mechanical grace as he garnished the scallops, the last plate of the dinner rush. The kitchen was a furnace, a whirlwind of motion, knives clashing, oil hissing, pans singing in the language only chefs understood. But amidst the chaos, Harry was steady. Precise. Controlled. The sous chef had become the backbone of the five-star restaurant, Maison de Lune. Every caramelized edge, every infused broth, Harry had touched it. But no one saw the war beneath his chef whites. Behind his calm eyes lay the pounding truth. His pancreas had long given up on him. Harry needed daily insulin shots, regular ones, sometimes urgent ones. His health insurance barely held together, just like his sanity. Still, he stayed. He had to. The money was good, barely enough to keep his body from collapsing. And then there was William. William, the manager and owner, had inherited the restaurant from his father but couldn't boil an egg if his life depended on it. He paraded around the kitchen in sleek suits that reeked of imported cologne and superiority. He didn't cook, didn't clean, didn't even understand the difference between Béarnaise and Hollandaise. But he managed. And in his eyes, that meant control, power, abuse. Harry! William's voice snapped across the kitchen like a whip. You call this plating? It looks like something scraped off a sidewalk. Harry turned slowly, wiping his brow, jaw clenched. His insulin alarm had buzzed in his pocket just 10 minutes earlier, but he hadn't moved. There was no time. Not now. He ignored the tremble in his fingers. With respect, sir, he said calmly, though his tone had a razor's edge, that's the Michelin star presentation we used for last week's critic dinner. William sneered. And I suppose you think you're the reason we even have a star? A younger line cook flinched in the corner. The kitchen held its breath. No one dared challenge William. But Harry had long since lost the energy to fear him. Later that evening, as the restaurant dimmed its chandeliers and the piano began its soft jazz hum, the dining hall shimmered with laughter, clinking glasses, and polished silverware. Harry moved between the tables to check the final presentations. That's when he saw it, William, standing stiffly at a VIP table, his face pale, a strange wheeze escaping his throat. His lips were bluish. His hand clutched his chest. William? Harry's voice cracked, panic suddenly drowning his exhaustion. No one moved. Patrons whispered. Some pulled out phones. The host froze. No one really liked William, but this was different. Then, without thinking, Harry lunged forward. Harry! What the hell are you doing? The maitre d' screamed. The room erupted in gasps. Harry dropped to his knees beside William's crumpled form. He's choking, Harry growled, pressing down and delivering a calculated thrust to William's abdomen. Move back! But everyone just stood there, shocked, confused, assuming Harry had snapped. The next day came heavy with humidity and secrets. Harry moved sluggishly through prep, his mind fogged not by lack of sleep, but by the devil's whisper that had crept into his kitchen the night before. It started with a soft knock on the back exit of the pantry, a knock too cautious for a supplier, too rehearsed for an accident. He wiped his hands, pushed the door open, and blinked at the sight that greeted him. Marianne. The manager's wife, always polished, always distant, now standing in the alley behind the restaurant in heels that didn't belong on cobblestones. Beside her, a man in a charcoal shirt and smugness smeared across his face. Harry recognized him instantly, Marianne's personal driver, though the looks they exchanged in passing spoke more of midnight rendezvous than routes and valet tickets. "Harry," she started, voice sugar smooth but tight at the edges. "We need a moment." Harry looked around, then stepped aside and let them in, his gut already twisting. Once inside the walk-in pantry, she didn't waste time. "It's simple," the man said. "He's allergic to tree nuts." Marianne stepped closer, eyes piercing. "One sprinkle. Just a few crushed cashews in his saffron cream. No one would even think to test. They'll assume it was an accident. You've seen how careless they claim you all are." Harry stared at her, frozen. His breath caught in his throat. "How much?" he asked before he could stop himself. He hated how broken he sounded. "Enough to fix your insulin supply for the year." "And then some," the man said, sliding an envelope onto the shelf between olive oil and imported truffle salt. Harry's hand hovered near it. A thick stack of bills peeked from the corners. For a heartbeat, his mind went quiet. He saw the unpaid bills, the empty insulin pens, the way his hand had shaken yesterday when he missed his dose. He could just take it. William wouldn't be missed. Not truly. Not by the kitchen staff. Not by Marianne. Probably not even by the restaurant. But as his fingers brushed the edge of the envelope, another image pushed through the fog. William, crumpled and gasping, blue-lipped on the ground, and Harry, pressing the air back into him. He remembered the way everyone had stared as if he was the monster. And now? Now they were asking him to become one. He stepped back. "I can't." The lover sneered. "You think he's gonna protect you? That bastard doesn't even pay into your health insurance." "I know," Harry whispered, voice brittle. "But if I survive by killing someone else, then I'm not surviving. I'm just already dead." He turned, opened the pantry door, and walked back into the kitchen. The garlic hissed in butter. Someone laughed in the dining hall. Life carried on. Behind him, Marianne's voice dropped into a hiss. "You'll regret this, chef." But Harry didn't look back. He'd nearly crossed a line he couldn't come back from, and something in him refused to be reshaped by greed, even if the world kept carving at his edges. The dining hall glowed under amber lights that evening, alive with the usual symphony of clinking cutlery, low conversations, and swirling red wine. Harry moved from the kitchen pass, hand steady but heart quietly pulsing with unease. He hadn't told anyone about the proposition. Not even Ella, the only waitress who'd once slipped him a protein bar during a double shift with a soft, "Eat, chef. You look like you're about to vanish." Tonight felt different. As he placed down the final entree for table 7, he caught sight of them. Table 15. There she was. Marianne. Hairpinned perfectly, a sapphire necklace resting like frost against her collarbone. Her smile was all charm, except for the tightness in her jaw. And beside her, holding her hand across the table, William. Harry almost dropped the plate. He blinked, confused. Had he imagined the whole thing? The secret meeting? The envelope of money? No. It had happened. He could still feel the heat of the cash brushing his fingertips. His eyes drifted further, and that's when his breath caught in his throat. Table 18. Just 3 tables away, barely hidden behind the curve of a large potted fern, sat the lover. Alone. Seated where he had a perfect view of Marianne. And she kept glancing his way. Quick, deliberate flicks of the eyes. Lip bites. A nod, slow and silent, almost imperceptible, but not to Harry. He knew coded glances. He'd seen enough chefs coordinate chaos through eye contact in a packed kitchen to understand when something unspoken was happening. He stood frozen, the weight of the moment pressing against his chest like a hot brick. They were both here. At the same time. Playing roles in some sick performance. He felt his throat dry. Something was up. Harry turned and walked briskly back to the kitchen, the clamor of cutlery fading behind the pounding of blood in his ears. He leaned over the counter, his breath shallow. "Chef? You okay?" Ella asked gently, placing a tray of ramekins beside him. He gave a curt nod. "Just checking something." His mind reeled. What if they'd gone through with it anyway? What if Marianne slipped the nuts into William's plate herself? What if he ended up blamed because he'd been asked to do it first? And worse, what if this was part of the plan? They were counting on him knowing. On him reacting. On him looking suspicious. They wanted to frame him. He swallowed hard. William's food hadn't gone out yet. He rushed to the line and grabbed the saucepan just as the final drizzle was being spooned over a fillet of sea bass. "Stop!" he barked, startling the line cook. Harry dipped a clean spoon into the saffron sauce, tasted it, then tossed the entire pan into the waste bin. "What the hell, chef?" the cook exclaimed. "Make a new one," Harry growled. "I have reason to believe this might have been tampered with." He didn't explain further. He couldn't. Not yet. But the look he gave the younger cook said, "Don't ask questions, just trust me." As the new sauce simmered behind him, Harry peeked out into the dining hall once more. Marianne raised her glass toward William, laughter painted on her lips. But when her eyes caught Harry's, for a second, just a flicker, her smile dropped. Only for a second. But Harry saw it. He knew then that the dinner wasn't just dinner. It was bait. A trap. And he was the one expected to fall into it. Back in the kitchen, the noise was a wall, metal slamming, ovens humming, the rhythmic thuds of knives against boards. But all of it faded as Harry's eyes locked on one thing. Cherry. She was at Station 3, plating one of their signature dishes, grilled lamb loin with saffron rice. But there was a new element on the tray. A small white ramekin filled with a creamy, golden brown sauce. Harry frowned. That wasn't on the menu. He stepped closer, trying to keep his voice calm. "Cherry, what's that?" She didn't look up. "Side sauce. For table 15. Special request." Harry's blood turned to ice. "Who requested it?" She glanced over at the check slip. "It says chef's recommendation, table 15, Mrs. W." She shrugged. "Said it was for her husband's meat." Harry's stomach clenched. He leaned over, dipped a spoon into the sauce, and brought it to his lips. The taste hit him instantly, sweet, creamy, nutty. Peanut butter. Subtle, blended expertly, but unmistakable. His throat tightened. He stared at the sauce like it was poison, because to William, it was. William's allergy was so severe he carried an EpiPen, and the entire staff had been briefed never to let even traces of nuts near his plate. Harry's hands shook slightly as he put the spoon down. A storm was raging inside him. This was it. This was the plan. They hadn't needed him after all. They just needed him close enough to take the fall when William's throat closed and his heart gave out before dessert. For a moment, just one fragile, bitter moment, Harry did nothing. He stepped back, heart pounding. Let it happen. Let the bastard choke. Let them bury him in his designer suit and his cologne and let her cry her fake little tears and be free of him. Harry could already see it, how they'd whisper wasn't it Harry who made the sauce. How the staff would remember the confrontation, the yelling, the tension. Maybe he finally snapped. Maybe it would even be ruled an accident. Maybe Harry would be blamed either way. His chest rose and fell. Then, in the reflection of the stainless steel oven, he saw himself, face hollow from long shifts, dark circles under his eyes, and that look. That look that said, "You're not like them." He remembered how his mother once said, "If you ever have to lie to your soul to survive, you're not living, you're hiding." With a sudden breath, Harry turned to Cherry. "Don't plate that sauce." "What?" "But trash it. Now." Cherry paused, confused and wide-eyed, but obeyed. She dumped the ramekin into the bin. Harry grabbed a towel and stormed out into the dining hall. The candlelight flickered across polished glassware. William sat mid-laugh, wiping sauce from the corner of his mouth as Marianne looked on with a smile so perfectly rehearsed it made Harry sick. Her lover still sat 3 tables away, pretending to read the wine list. Watching. Waiting. Harry walked to their table, heart hammering in his ears. "I need to speak with you, sir," he said, voice barely steady. William raised an eyebrow. "What now, Harry?" "It's important." Marianne's eyes narrowed. "Can't it wait?" "No," Harry said. "It can't." The glint of polished silver reflected in William's hand as he lifted the fork, the lamb now glistening with the sauce Harry hadn't let them plate, but somehow, it was back. His eyes widened. "No." Harry didn't think, he moved. In one sweeping motion, he lunged toward the table and snatched the fork straight from William's hand. The entire room gasped. A split second later, he yanked the tablecloth with such force that glasses shattered and plates crashed to the marble floor, food flying in every direction. The dining hall froze in chaos. Someone screamed. A waiter dropped a tray. Guests stood up from their tables. "What the hell is going on?" William shouted, staggering back from the wreckage, his napkin falling to the floor. Marianne shot up, face pale, but only for a moment. Then it twisted into something cold, sharp, manipulative. "He's attacking my husband," she cried. "Somebody stop him." Before Harry could explain, security guards charged in. "Wait, don't," he tried to shout. "There's peanut sauce, he'll die if." But they didn't listen. A heavy arm grabbed him from behind, yanking him backwards with brute force. "Hands behind your back." "I'm trying to save him," Harry roared, struggling as they pinned him down. "You're finished, chef," Marianne spat, standing over him with venom in her voice, her hand trembling, but not from fear. From rage. From being caught too soon. The police were called. Guests filmed. The chaos was plastered all over the evening news within the hour. But something didn't sit right with one of the officers. William, confused and shaken, insisted he was fine, just shocked. But he did have a known, documented nut allergy. And the fork Harry snatched from him? It tested positive for peanut residue. That was enough. Detectives launched an immediate investigation. Surveillance footage from the kitchen and the alley behind the restaurant was pulled. When they reviewed the footage from 2 nights prior, the truth began to unfold like a bad thriller script. There she was, Marianne, entering the back pantry with her lover, meeting Harry, and then Cherry. 3 days of digging led them to her small flat on the east side. Quiet. Unassuming. But when they searched it, they found it, a thick wad of cash, wrapped in elastic bands, hidden inside a baking tin under her sink. The exact amount William's wife had withdrawn from their joint account earlier that week. Even more damning, security footage from a nearby gas station showed Marianne and her lover in a car, Cherry in the back seat, passing something between them. A sealed container. The same evening the sauce was made. When detectives confronted Cherry, she broke. Tears streaming, words pouring like boiling oil. She said he was cruel, said he deserved it. I didn't think he'd actually die. And then, like dominoes falling, the story collapsed into the truth. 3 days later, Harry sat alone on a park bench just across the street from the courthouse, the late afternoon sun casting golden hues on the leaves above him. The breeze was gentle, almost as if the universe had finally exhaled. His name was everywhere now. Chef stops murder at 5-star restaurant. Hero or villain? The truth about the tablecloth incident. From suspect to savior, Chef Harry speaks out. The local news had eaten the story alive. National channels picked it up. He even had a 10-minute feature on a primetime show. But it wasn't the attention that grounded him, it was the moment he finally got to tell the truth. He sat in front of the cameras, not as a criminal or a confused employee, but as a man pushed to his limits. I was broke. Sick. Tired. I needed help that never came, he said, voice steady on the broadcast, face raw with emotion. They offered me money to poison someone I hated. And I won't lie, I considered it. But there's something worse than pain, worse than poverty. And that's looking in the mirror and seeing a stranger who let someone die. The response was overwhelming. Messages poured in. Support. Gratitude. Respect. And then, the offers. Emails. Calls. Handwritten letters. From restaurant owners, culinary schools, and hotel chains across the country. We need chefs with your integrity. Come work for us. We'll cover your health insurance in full. Not just because you're talented, but because you're the kind of person we want in our kitchen. Harry was stunned. He'd spent years invisible, just another tired chef behind the line. But now, he was seen. One message stood out. It was from an old French chef who owned a modest, rustic restaurant in the countryside. Harry, a real chef doesn't just cook food. He protects the table. Come join me. Rest. Heal. Cook again when you're ready. Tears stung Harry's eyes when he read it. He folded the letter carefully, slid it into his jacket, and stood. As he walked away from the bench, he passed a newsstand. His face was on the cover, mid-motion in that chaotic photo, dragging the tablecloth, plates flying, a look of fierce desperation in his eyes. Beneath it, the headline read. He pulled the tablecloth and revealed the truth. He didn't stop to stare. He just smiled, quiet, soft, a little sad, and kept walking. Not toward a kitchen. Not toward fame. But toward a life he didn't have to fight for anymore.